It's Jeff Brostrom. Code by day, podcast by night.
Hey guys, welcome to the Jeff Brostrom Show. My name is Jeff Brostrom. And, it's funny, as soon as you go live, you notice stupid little crap. And I just noticed that my back thing is opened in my studio office here. So it's going to annoy me the entire show, which makes it mean that I'm going to go ahead and close it real quick. So hold on, guys, while I close this. You guys can watch the Death Squad tweets. Okay, I'm back. So, I wanted to give you, since this is the first episode of the Jeff Brostrom Show, I've done some podcasts before, but this is a video cast that we will be going live with right now. I'm doing it the day before, day of, that type of stuff. So, let me go into a little bit of what I'm about and what we're doing here. So, I've been a faithful follower of Death Squad and the Joe Rogan Experience, which is amazing. And I do web design, web development. I'm a co-founder of LeapShock.com, which is one of the major sponsors of this show, and putting together the studio and all the equipment and software and the Macs that we needed to run the stuff and all that good stuff. And my 23.5 carat gold microphone, And the only reason I got this was because I wanted to feel like I was Rush Limbaugh. But I don't have the cigars right now, so don't have the Oxy either. So, unfortunately, I can't be Rush Limbaugh today. But I will be cool and interesting for you guys. Promise you that. So, what is this show about, and what are we going to be doing here? So, jeffbrostrom.com is my website, and my co-founder and business partner of LeapShock, he's going to be actually posting a blog on there. I have blogs on there already, which I'm sure you're going to see this on either Vimeo or YouTube. Either you're watching it live or you're going to be seeing it on jeffbrostrom.com. And all my Twitter and Facebook stuff's on there as well. I think it's just twitter.com/jeffbrostrom. You can go to jeffbrostrom.com and just click any of the links at the top to follow me. I'm not going to hand out all my tags and everything, but that's my Twitter, Facebook, all that. So go to jeffbrostrom.com, check it out. And we're going to have really fun here. I'm going to run down a show schedule, but first let's go over my sponsors, because they're the ones that make this all happen. Like I said, LeapShock's our major sponsor. That's my company, and my business partner's company. We do a lot of media development, from mobile development to web design, which brings me into kind of the show countdown, but I'll get to that in a second. So one of the main things that I want to talk about is I want to talk about my sponsors, because they're one thing that I've learned from Joe Rogan, and a lot of people who haven't listened to the Joe Rogan, watched the Joe Rogan Experience. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to meet him. Hopefully, I will. I live up in Sacramento, and he's down there. But the main thing that I've learned, a lot of people see this notched out mixed martial art fanatic, roided out guy, and he's not. My friend kind of laughed when I'll get into that, but I kind of jumped around. My friend was kind of laughing when he saw that on the Honest.com site, which we'll talk about. It shows him as a comedian and a philosopher. He's like, he's a philosopher. If you've ever listened to the Joe Rogan Experience, the guy is a philosopher. He's one of the most intelligent people I know, and one of my and I don't want to say this because it sounds nerdish, because to me, I do watch television. I don't watch a ton of it. The web design and everything, I'm online a lot. So I listen to podcasts, and I listen to, I follow religiously Death Squad, but most of all the Joe Rogan Experience. But he's become that weekly mentor of mine, and has helped me with my own, I do mixed martial arts. I do a lot of extreme sports I love. I work out, I did a lot of karate at a younger age, which I wish I hadn't done now, knowing the mixed martial arts stuff that I know. I wish I had gotten into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a lot younger, but I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 3 to 4 years now, and done Krav Maga, and then some, actually, I went from more of what they call sports martial arts to combative martial arts, which I wish I'd studied my entire life, but that's neither here nor there. But so that's kind of where I got into all this stuff, this Onnit stuff, and I signed up on their affiliate and partnership page, and before I signed up, I ordered Alpha Brain, which everybody was just raging about. And when I say everybody, I don't mean you go to onnit.com and you see all these great testimonies, even though that's what you do see when you go to onnit.com. But I mean when you go to the amazon.com, you see it's a 4.5, 5-star rating, which is very hard to get for anybody that's done e-commerce. Prior to starting my own web design company, I was in retail as a general manager, and I've run multiple. I used to run this. I used to be the office manager and IT director for this big e-commerce online shop. I did about $6 to $7 million a year, and there was only 4 people there that were running the website. And I know how hard it is to get these ratings, because you're always going to have that jackass out there that just gives a bad rating just to give a bad rating. Either A, because they're a competitor, or B, because they didn't try it long enough, or they did it the wrong way, or whatever the product is. You're always going to get that person that gives the bad reviews. You know, you see a great video, you hear a great song, and there's always that jackass out there that just gives it thumbs down. You'll see 6,000, 7,000 thumbs up, and there's like 4 thumbs down. And that's because when this world was created, and I'm not going to get into this, but, there's this little, whoever, I'm not a big comic, I'm a big comedian fan, but I wasn't into comics growing up. 2 big different things. So when I say I'm not a big comic fan, that's what I mean. I didn't read comic magazines. I'm 23 years old, and so there was that gap. My whole thing was I grew up in the whole Pokemon and that type of crap stage. Luckily, my parents were very, very strict, and I got a lot of which we'll get into as well, a lot of real world experience, as opposed to the sitting behind the television and having the television feed our kids, which is the television is basically our number one, even for ourselves, not just for our children, but our number one babysitters is a television and these devices. My kid's 2 years old. Like, I have 2 kids. I just had one kid, a daughter, a week ago, and I have a son. And my son knows how to use my iPhone a lot better than some of my friends or my clients do. These clients that I'm training, and how to use the website. And I didn't get your text. I couldn't figure out how to play the video on my iPhone. My son just blah, 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 blah. But he's 2 years old. He knows how to use it. It's great. But at the same time, you sit back and you wonder, okay, so when he's 23, when he's 24, is he going to be able to do the things that I've done in my life? Is he going to say, okay, Dad, I've been in 4 different countries. I've run 2 to 3 companies. I was the youngest general manager of a Fortune 500 company. Is he going to have those experiences? At 18, he got married. I'm not saying you got to do everything that I did. I don't expect him. I want him to be his own person. But I've been blessed, if you want to say, to be successful. A lot of people have helped me be successful. I've been on my own since I was 15 years old. Grew up on the East Coast in Maryland. My dad was Navy. And then I'll get into his story later, because his story actually has a lot to do with this first episode of the show, and actually next week's episode. So basically, Joe Rogan got me on this Alpha Brain stuff, and this stuff is amazing. And everybody asks, what does Alpha Brain do for you? Well, I'm going to tell you what Alpha Brain did for me. And what Alpha Brain did for me, and I can't speak, some people said they had amazing dreams. I haven't had amazing dreams. This is how amazing Alpha Brain is. Because I got my business partner hooked on Alpha Brain. He has it coming in from Onnit store. I waited for it to get here, and we couldn't wait, so we ran down to the one store that had it locally, and we had to, because I was sharing I didn't buy the 90 count bottle. We had to buy the little count, even though his is coming later today. We went and we purchased the little the 30 count bottle, which is amazing. So I definitely recommend it, and this is how it made me feel. It's not a strength and conditioning; it's a mental strength and conditioning. There's a lot of products in it that make it that way. If you actually read what it has on the back, I can't even pronounce a bunch of it, but it's everything that your brain needs to run at that highest level. And let me explain that highest level to you in a non-doctor, because I'm not a doctor. I do have a degree, but I'm not a doctor, or a philosophical way. I'll just get, the no BS, down to earth. And this is the best way for me to explain it. And when I wake up in the morning, you got that groggy feeling, you drink your coffee. Mine is bulletproof coffee now. So I drink my bulletproof coffee about an hour, 2 hours, either you work out or whatever. And that 2 hours is when you want to take your tests, when you want to work out, when you are pumped, everything's coming in your mind. You're just like mentally strong, physically strong, and you're just ready to go. And then you peak out and you start to go downhill. And by the end of the day, you're not only physically fatigued, but you're mentally fatigued. And you don't want to have these business meetings by 3, 4 o'clock. You're just out of it and you want the day to be over. Well, what Alpha Brain's done for me, and it's 4 o'clock and I'm rolling. I'm rolling, guys. And not in the Molly MDMA terms of rolling. I mean, my business partner's seen the same thing. We'll come up with different services or different ideas on customers' mobile applications or their websites. And it'll be like one great idea a week. And we've been just pounding out these ideas and not just like this ADHD type ideas, but pounding them out, meaning from start to finish, we think it up, we draw up the business plan, we put together the demo, the mock-ups, and we finish it in 1 day, 2 days. These progress, this stuff that used to take us weeks to get around to putting it in Excel, putting it in Word, is just so. I won't get into all that process as another show, but basically what Alpha Brain's done for me is it's created that sustainable mentality all day long. I don't peak out. I don't drop down. It's like that when you wake up in 2 hours and you're at your smartest level just all day long. There's no peter out. It doesn't keep you awake. It's not cocaine. It just all day long you're sustained. You're mentally strong. It's absolutely amazing. Hemp Force, absolutely amazing. I'm on that 6 meals a day, the 3 meals a day, and 2 shakes. And Hemp Force from Onnit.com is amazing. And I keep saying Onnit.com, but here's what you guys are gonna do. Because I'm not Joe Rogan, I'm not a flipping millionaire yet, and I don't own a percentage of the company. But I am an affiliate, and they are a partner of mine. So go to jeffbrostrom.com/sponsors, or just go to jeffbrostrom.com. And actually go there, and we'll actually go there together. So when you go to jeffbrostrom.com, it's pretty cool because this cool web design company made it. And I suggest if you need a website, go to them. Leapshock.com, guys. They're the people. They are the best at what they do. From East Coast to West Coast, they know what they're doing. And it's because they have awesome founders. Anyway, that was my impression of Rush Limbaugh. I am only using half my brain today, and still smarter than everybody out there. So guys, so you go here, go ahead and click sponsors. You'll come to the sponsor page, and then click on it, and go to the on it page. And once you get to the on it page, there's a bunch of stuff that they sell. I mean, they sell, and I have a Joe Rogan quote here that it's not on the website. It's on. He says it all the time. He never promotes a product I don't believe in or use myself, and I agree with that 110%. When you are in the business of web design, media, and entertainment, you get a lot of people that come to you for sponsors. There's a lot of affiliate programs out there, commission programs out there, people that pay you for ad space, all this other stuff that's thrown at you every day. And I could pick up ones that gave me a lot more than what certain sponsors give me. I don't, because I haven't personally used them. And I don't personally use them. And I guess that's kind of why I like the Joe Rogan philosophy is, don't promote products you haven't used yourself. And I can personally say that it's helped my life. And it continues to help my life. I wouldn't be able to do these shows at 4 p.m. I'd be doing them at 8 or 9 a.m. in the morning, and being able to pump out this stuff. And I'm able to do that. I'm able to do my coding at night. I'm able to do whatever I need to do. That's not repetitive, but actually creative design stuff. It used to be a design in the morning. I do my coding at night because coding's repetitive. Designing is, you have to come up with new stuff. So go to jeffbrostrom.com, click on the sponsors page, or go to jeffbrostrom.com/sponsors, and then just click the on it thing. And then we have our Shutterstock for the web designers, which we'll talk about more on the web design show, which is every Sunday. My business partner, Andrew Jones, aboutandrew.com, is on the show with me. And he will be doing, we'll be talking about web design, graphic design, and stuff that's happening in the technology world. And then our third big sponsor is, of course, Amazon and One-on-One, but Amazon.com. So guys, real quickly, let's run down this because they're the sponsor of this show as well. Go to jeffbrostrom.com/sponsors, click the Amazon link, click any of these books. By the way, on the homepage, you can go down to the bottom and you can click this as well, and it'll take you there. This will take you directly to Amazon, just like any other Amazon link, and you do your shopping. Costs the same. You can see everything that I buy here. But it is absolutely phenomenal helping me out. So just do that. Little extra step for you guys. I understand, but it would mean a lot. The other thing you could do is like the video on YouTube, Vimeo, wherever you are, and keep following me, guys. I appreciate it a lot. Read my blog posts. Andrew Jones is going to be posting about mobile development today, if you guys are into that. And then my last thing is not a sponsor, but I've actually put up a video about this. But go ahead and do Cheryl's Cure. And I have it on my main page because it means a lot to me. They're very, very close friends. Like I said in the last video, very, very close friends. And they're struggling with, she's struggling with cancer right now. And the medication that she needs is super expensive. And they're ending up selling a lot of stuff to afford it. So if you want to help out, please do. Whether it's $1, I didn't want to just use Indiegogo or Kickstarter. I talked about that on another video, so I won't go into it. But go ahead and click donate now. Anyway, guys, that is my advertisements. Let's get into the raw material, guys. We're going to have some fun here today, okay? We are going to have some freaking fun. Is that understood, people? Some fun that you've never had before. Well, you could have. If you came from Joe Rogan Experience, and this is going to sound pretty boring, but hopefully one day I can be on that level. And he had to start out somewhere, and unfortunately, when he started out, he didn't have the web to promote him. So now everybody's a Justin Bieber, and they become famous overnight. Anyway, I'm going to turn this around because they don't sponsor me. I would be drinking my shake, but I already had my M4 shake for the day, which you can get from jeffbrostrom.com/sponsors and all that stuff I just explained. So, who am I? What's the show about? Well, my Monday and Tuesday shows, which I'm not sure which day I'm going to do it. It'll be live. I come up with a time. I'll come up with a schedule. It'll be on the shows page, which goes up today. And all our shows, all our promotions will all be on that page, the schedule. We do a lot of traveling. We were just in the Bay Area last night. So, meaning myself and my business partner, my wife and my 2 kids have to stay at home, unfortunately. We did take the son with us, and it was pretty cool, my son. And so, yeah, you'll be getting video blogs, videocasts, podcasts from everywhere. So stay tuned. Hit shows. Sunday show is all about web design. Monday and Tuesday show is my show where I decide the topic and everything that goes on. And you guys actually will be deciding the topic. And the best person, I'm going to put this on YouTube, and the person that puts the best comment on what, not next week, actually, yeah, next week, because it's going to be a week out. Next week show about, what should next week's show be about? I'm going to send a free sample, which there's 4 pills in it, not open, so you guys know I'm not trying to date rape you guys virtually. They're trial packets, and if you actually go, I'm going to do it on an ad later, so you can click and watch all that. If you actually go to jeffbrostrom.com and then click sponsors, or just scroll to the bottom, click on it, they have this. Let me see if I go to supplements here. A testosterone booster is absolutely amazing, and at $50, you can't beat it. Now I'm totally off subject. I totally forgot what I was talking about. Oh well. Anyway, guys, On It is awesome, guys. Check out their products, please. But yeah, so, oh, yes, that's what, Good thing I had the Alpha Brain, otherwise I would have just totally lost it. So if you go to their store and you click their store, they actually have, I don't know if it's under supplements. I don't know if it's in the back end of my store. Oh, these packets. So I'll send out the person that picks the best topic for next week's show. I'll send out the Alpha Brain Go Pack, which is the 4. And if there's 3 or 4 great ones, I'll send out 3 or 4. I really don't care. I'll ship it to you guys. Have it overnighted. You'll have it for the next show. And maybe we can get you on the podcast a little bit. I'm always looking for guests. I have some guy that's going to be, he works for Apple. He's going to be on the show. It's pretty awesome. Today's podcast, video cast, I wanted to do about, and I'm going to try to stay away from politics as much as possible. And I don't really have a storyboard that I'm going off of. I do show prep, so I'm not just going into this blind. But as you can see, I'm not just reading down a list of stuff. Otherwise, I would have remembered. And I wouldn't have had to say, oh, it's a trial pack, so I'm going to on it. I want this to be a very organic show. And later on, that's why when I click my little show buttons at any time during the show, feeds pop up. And right now, I use the Death Squad feeds because they're, hopefully I'll be a part of them and their whole entire team soon. But later on, it'll be the Jeff Brostrom feeds, and I do get a lot of tweets on there and followers, and I'd like a lot more, so get on there. But so this show's for you guys. That's what the Mondays and Tuesdays shows are about. The Friday show is called The Wife Attack. My wife's going to be on the show, and we're going to be talking about a little bit about relationships. And we got married young. We started out young. She's 2 years older than I am, but I still met her when I was 15 when I got emancipated, and we're married happily. Don't get me wrong, we have our fights, and I bet you if Joe Rogan watches this, he is going to call me an effing idiot for getting married at 18. But you know what? I'm pretty happy with it, and it works out for me. So the Wife Attack show is going to be on Friday. Sunday show is going to be a web design technology show. And the Monday, Tuesday shows, those are my shows. Those are your shows, guys. So send in what you guys want to talk about. We'll have call-ins later. We're setting all that up. We're dumping a lot of money into this and a lot of time and energy because we love it. So let's get into this. Let's go. Let's bounce out. I should just go back to the start of the show, guys. Start of the show, the start of the show. I just want to do that because we've kind of gotten out of everything, and it's time to start the show, guys. Let's rock and roll.
It's Jeff Brostrom. Code by day, podcast by night.
24 minutes of me blabbing so far. I hope this goes good, because so far I haven't even got into the raw material yet. So let's rock and roll. Anyway, I won't normally do that. I won't replay all that stuff, but I wanted to for the fun of it. You'll just see it in the beginning. What today's topic about is something called NDAA. And like I said, I don't want to talk about politics that much. I will tell you a little bit about my background. I grew up in Maryland, and my dad worked for the Department of Defense. And right now I'm getting actual permission to talk, not permission, but I don't want to just start talking about my father's career. He said he'll do a podcast with me. He has to run it by his advisors now. But he works for the Department of Defense. Before that, he worked for the Navy. So I grew up in Maryland. Prior to moving out here when I was 15 by myself. So I spent a lot of time, 15 years in Maryland. And one of the things I got entangled with was kind of, everybody kind of gets entangled with their parents' work, and I'm not going to go into that too far yet. I'm going to wait for him on the podcast, which hopefully will be next week if we get approval from the government. Maybe if they see this show, they're not going to approve it. But I don't know how many of you are familiar. If you've seen the Joe Rogan show, you are. But how many of you are familiar with the NDAA Act? And we're actually going to look that up right now. The NDAA Act is actually, let's jump into this. It's the National Defense They call it the National Defense Authorization Act, you'll see called the National Detainee Authorization Act, and what it basically is. And I'm not going to jump into it so far. I'm going to post all the links. But what it basically is if they have, right now you get arrested by the police department or the FBI, you go through a jury, you go through a trial, they can't hold you for more than 24 or 48 hours without hardcore evidence. You have rights. That's what this country was founded on. We're freedom. We're rights. And if you hear that sound in the background, I'm going to jump off this topic for 1 second, but if you hear that sound in the background, I have this really cool robot that does my vacuuming. And before all you guys start getting sexist and being like, oh, you guys are talking about your wife. No, it's not my wife. And no, it's not a Mexican. It's actually a robot that does vacuuming. It does a really good job. It learns where you go. They're not sponsoring me, so I'm not going to talk about them too much. But that's the sound. It's vacuuming my upstairs. It vacuumed my downstairs yesterday. It actually learns. Like, you put a sock on the floor, it'll go around the sock and start learning that pattern. Then you pick up the sock. The next day, it'll actually go around that area until it finds out by its lasers and its knowledge and brains, what it can do. And that kind of actually ties into what we're talking about, which is NSA is building the country's biggest spy center. And James Bamford, who we're hoping to get on the show, wrote a big, he used to work for national security agencies. He's written 4 books about it. And he's actually the reason why I'm having to get permission to have my father on the show, and why I can't talk about who my dad works for right now. But it's going to be a very good show. Hopefully we can get James Bamford on the show too. I'm hoping that maybe my dad can pull some ties there. But basically, they're building this, like, they don't already have enough. National Security Agency has always been like, you have the FBI who works in-state, CIA which works in-state and outside, and then the National Security Agency, also known as No Such Agency, or inside NSA, never say anything. And I got, growing up in a military Department of Defense family, every year we'd go to summer camps, whether it was NASA summer camps or survival summer camps, or one year we actually, me and my older brother went to the National Security Agency museum summer camp, which was where we actually learned a bunch of cryptanalyst stuff and computer stuff, and it was awesome. It was one of those once in a lifetime experiences, and I want my son to be able to experience some of that stuff. And I was one of those 100% Republican, go anybody that's Republican guys, and I'm not a Democrat now, and I'm still consider myself a Republican, but I'm not for big government. I'm not for people breathing down my back. I believe in the Constitution, in the rights of the people to do whatever they want when they want it. And I'm not going to get into the whole drug thing, because drugs wreck lives. I'm not getting into that. But the government makes a lot of money off drugs as well. And every single politician out there that gets into that, I don't want to get into this, so I'm just going to stay off this topic. But we'll get into painkillers in a later show. They all have these hands in these pharmaceutical companies. And like Oxycontin. Oxycontin is owned by Pharma something. It's a big company. And if you look, it's all congressmen, governors, people that have run for president that own this company. And that's what they're writing everybody prescriptions for. This is Oxycontin. But if you're caught with heroin, which is least, if you look at the opiate, Oxycontin is just synthetic heroin, and it's stronger, a lot stronger than the street drug heroin, or opium. You're looking at a major jail sentence. But any day a doctor will write you a script for Oxycontin or hydrocodone. But we'll get into that later. But that's big government, guys. So NSA is building this country's biggest spy center. And basically, it's based in Utah. It'll be able to record, with the Patriot Act backing it, all the phone calls, all text messages, all emails, anything electronic, and from satellites that goes on, and record it and archive it. Anything that happens in the U.S. can be archived in this big data warehouse. And I don't know if you guys are familiar, if you are going to be watching on the Sunday show, we'll be talking about hosting companies and everything. Well, if you take a hosting company, like a big hosting company, a sponsor of the show, and you times it by 30, 40, 50, I mean, if you look at the layout alone, which I'll post on the site for this data center, it is amazing. And they have analysts working there. They have tons of people working there, guys. And it's all to go through our information, dig through our personal life, and find criminals. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for finding criminals. I'm not a criminal. I'm not here trying to hide from the government. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to say I want freedom, guys. I don't want people digging through my laundry. You know, I don't, and this gets into my secondary thing. You know, the main topic of the discussion today. So we have this building that the National Security Agency, no such agency, is building, where they're going to be able to record, listen to every move you make. And believe me, if you guys don't think that you are going to be recorded, or you're careful, or you don't spend that much time online, just try going one day without using anything electronic. That means don't pick up your phone, don't turn on your television, don't get online, don't use your credit card, don't use anything. Pretend like you're a bank robber for one day, like you're on the run. And see how hard it is, guys. It's impossible. They will get you. And then, so we'll talk about that, later. And I want to go into that actually in the interview next week, hopefully next week. But yeah, so they're building this humongous, biggest spy center ever, and it's not to spy on other countries. I'm sure they'll use some for that. And you got to remember, prior to 9/11, prior to the Patriot Act, the National Security Agency, even though they probably were not allowed to spy on U.S. citizens. The National Security Agency was out there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was they were basically founded during the Cold War, and they were like called the Center for Security. I'll get all the exact. I've read all of James Bamford's books and grew up in that lifestyle, and I should know, but I don't. And basically, we're there to watch the Soviet Union and watch all these and not the Cold War II, scramble cryptanalysts, they're mathematicians building algorithms, and they got into all this other stuff sorry, I got text. So they got into all this other stuff, and then after 9/11, they're using the Patriot Act they can spy on U.S. citizens now, and this data warehouse does just that. And everything that you say electronically, everything that goes out on the air, this video is all archived somewhere that can be pulled up, that analysts, that regular people will go through. Not computers, but people. The computers grab. Now, here's the problem with having people go through information like that, is you start to have something called the human tendency. And the human tendency is, being in retail, one of the companies that I worked for, they did tech work, and I got called over. I was a general manager. Hey guys, come over here, and it was just this really smart kid who's probably going to get hired on by CIA and NSA one day. He's going to school, getting his bachelor's degree, master's degree in information technology, and he wanted to show me these sexy pictures of this chick that she left on her computer when she brought it in to get checked out, and it's the human tendency. So what happens, and then you have the second human tendency, which is, basically you have three: guns, God, and guns, God, the three G's, and one other thing, and I can't remember right now, and money, income, gold, guns, God, and gold, out there. And so that's human tendency, is greed. So what happens when you put a human going through this, analysts, as they call them, going through all this data, these data warehouses, trying to find these criminals out there, and now they have joint task force, so it's not just NSA that's keeping this information in-house, but it's JSOC, and it's these joint task force where they work with the CIA, the FBI, and the local police departments, which I agree with, because I know there's a lot of conspiracy out there, but 9/11 probably wouldn't have happened if these joint task force had been around, these counterterrorism units, prior to that. But we had a lot of inner friction within our government with agencies not being able to or allowed to work with each other or share information. Now, that's a double-edged sword, because now these joint task force share information. So what NSA believes is a criminal act or something of interest now can get passed down to your local sheriff, who You have these people with top secret security clearances that see something, and now it gets down to your local sheriff who has absolutely no security clearance and can either A, arrest you, B, blackmail you. It's great. It's human greed. It's going to happen. You're going to have these stories of politicians or regular rich people or non-rich people getting blackmailed. That's the least of our worries. Because I'm going to get into the big issue here at hand. And the big issue is NDAA. NDAA. Remember that. It's all going to be on the website, jeffbrostrom.com. But that's the big issue is NDAA. Second thing that's happened. And this has been happening, in these past 6 months. All this stuff's cramming together. All this stuff is just crammed together. The past year, basically, just you have the biggest NSA, data center spying on Americans out there that they're putting together. Now you have domestic drones, where police departments are allowed to use domestic drones. Domestic drones, people. Those things where you can't see them in the sky, and they can read your license plate and see a zit on your face. They're HD video quality out there. They can read everything. And so now they get a suspicious letter or suspicious email or anything that they deem worthy of sending a drone out there. And we'll see about how the search warrant things work. And wherever you go, they're watching you wipe your butt and smoke and hang out with your friends and drive and whatever. They're watching you. They can use to blackmail you, or they can use it. It's, once again, that double-edged sword again. Big Brother is getting way bigger, and it's getting way more out of hand. So they have these drones that can not only grab information, but can have weapons on them. They can have, guns. They can have missiles. They can be self-explosive themselves. Or they can have the third topic I'm talking about, which is the use of non-lethal force, which a lot of people see these videos about lethal force and non-lethal force tasers and everything, but I want to show you something. WikiLeaks has a PDF out there, which I'm going to bring up. A PDF. They released a bunch of information that basically just got classified as non-classified. So it was released, or it was classified, and it was one of those cases again where some guy in the military was a whistleblower, and now he's going to be scorned and scorched and waterboarded till he gives up his sources and how much he gave out. You torture somebody enough, they will say anything. That's something I learned. And believe me, I've had a lot more experience in interrogation techniques than just the average podcaster out there. And you'll learn more about it as we get into there. But I do bodyguard work and other side jobs, and I've taken a lot of classes on it. And, just my life growing up. So the biggest thing with pain interrogation, and I don't want to get into it so bad, is when you use pain interrogation, the person will end up saying whatever they can to get it to stop, the pain to stop. So you're really not getting true information out. So it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. But the second thing I want to show you is WikiLeaks released this, and I'll put this on the page. It's U.S. Department of Defense non-lethal weapons capabilities and use. So the biggest thing I want to show you is this. These are what you're using in Iraq. But once again, now that all this stuff is coming back and being able to be used on U.S. citizens in stuff like, the tasers, all these, this is non-lethal stuff, the beanbags. The stuff that you see on videos. This is what is going to be happening with the police department. And everybody says their biggest problem with the police department having this kind of gear is, okay, police officers aren't as trained as our military. And you're 100% correct. They're not. So now you have some guy that's gone through your post-training, if you're in California, or some deputy sheriff in some some boondock town out there that grew up and he deputy sheriff because his dad was a sheriff and blah, 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 and that's the only reason he has no real training using these non-lethal weapons that can actually cause a lot of lethalness to them. So don't be a retard and think that these guys are going to be trained, because now that this has been released, you will see that the use of non-lethal weapons on detainees in Iraq, which will come back to the U.S., which the next act that I was talking about, is 3 hours and 5 minutes of a conference and discussion. No test review. After 3 hours and 5 minutes, these people will be able to use on Iraqi detainees and later Americans. Let's get down there. Okay, so start here. Not just tasers, beanbag rounds, rubber fin stabilized rounds from a 12 gauge shotgun. We're talking about these things will break arms. You get shot in the head, you are dead. That's not non-lethal. 12 gauge rubber fin stabilized rounds. The Marines will be using those as well. 40 millimeter rubber ball rounds. 40 millimeter, guys. You're talking about like this big around, guys. This big around. And so this was used on Iraq detainees that were getting, and don't get me wrong, war is war. I'm not one of those guys that say, oh, guys, don't, they're allowed to cut our people's heads off. No. You fight evil with evil. Here's the problem. Now they're bringing all this stuff back to the U.S. and they're going to be using this. Rubber ball grenades. Works just like grenades. There's a bunch of rubber balls in them. Like beanbags. It explodes. Sends it out. They use it in jails already. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, these guys that they're using this stuff on already are criminals. And you're prisons, not jails. They use them in prisons. Meaning they've already been convicted. So you're right. To a certain extent, they're criminals. And that gets to my fourth point. And then I'm going to wrap this up because I'm going along already. I'm going to try to keep these at 30 minutes. The NDAA, Infinite Detention Bill, passes press Senate after Rand Paul calls it an abomination. So I'm going to put this up on the page because I don't want to read it. I don't want to go about it, but I want to talk about it more in our next podcast, next Monday or Tuesday. But basically, it's the joke. Basically, the 24 to 48 hour detainee law. Meaning one thing. They get something on you that can or cannot stick. They can now detain you for life. For life, guys. That means there's no waiting for parole. There's no waiting for trial or hearing. They can detain you for life. And once you're a detainee, and believe me, that's where all this other stuff ties in. So, okay, well, they'll never get me. All they'll get is criminals. Well, your son did a Google search on how to make what they call, a works bomb, or how to make homemade fireworks or firecrackers. NSA picked it up, right? NSA went ahead and picked it up. And they saw that on your IP address, somebody was looking up how to make homemade bombs. So they went ahead and passed it down to the United States Marshals, who started flying a drone around your house. This is all hypothetical, but I'm telling you guys, this is how it's going to go down. I'm telling you how it's going to go down. I didn't want to get into politics on the first show, but I'm kind of there already. And I want to kind of get down to earth on what I know and how I feel. So now they have these way up in the sky, they're watching you. It's not just some analyst going through and he popped up something now. That's been passed down the food chain. Now you have a U.S. Marshal who used to play a lot of Xbox 360 video games, running this drone up in the air. And he's watching everything you do. And then suddenly, your wonderful husband, you guys have an open relationship, and your wonderful husband goes and he cheats on you with this amazing-looking Spanish woman who looks like she might be a Muslim. Then what happens? Not enough information for arrest, but it doesn't matter because we have this bill stating he can be detained for life. He can be detained. Infinite detention. And while he's being detained, they can use all these people that are not trained to. Maybe they've got courses 1 hour long. Whoa. They can use projectiles from a 25 caliber durable rubber balls, grenades containing 100 pellets, 1.3 second delay. One spoon is released, and another 1.5 seconds delay with internal fuses activated. Distance relative to an individual throwing grenade. Effective engagement range is 2 to 3 meters. Maximum range is 15 to 20 meters. So now your husband, who cheated on you, and yeah, you might get pissed off, or he didn't cheat on you. That was just one hypothetical reason. Is now thrown in to a place where there could be criminals, might not be criminals, and is being treated like a criminal, and it's being waterboarded. Is being used these United States Department of Defense non-lethal weapon capabilities on him because this hot dog from Montana no offense if you live in Montana, decided to become, or it's all where it's going is these jails are going to be all run by locals, Blackwater type people. And I've gone through some of their training, and it's amazing. It's military style training, and it's amazing. It's fun, close quarter combat, all that stuff is highly trained. But once again, it's there because they're trained. Basically, I was looking at one of these jobs, and the job was over in a different country. I couldn't get into it because I didn't have a secret clearance, but I had all the other stuff. $625 a day. You work 108 days on, 35 days off. That's how much these Blackwater guys that you see in Fallujah are getting paid. And they've changed their names a lot, but that's how much they're getting paid. And that's what I want to talk about. It's like basically we have this humongous government now that's watching every single move you make. Every single move. And whether it's right or wrong, they can detain you indefinitely. You know, if you're in the political scene and some guy doesn't like how you're voting and he goes golfing with this guy that runs his drone, they detain you indefinitely. They blackmail you indefinitely. Your life is screwed up indefinitely. That's why Big Brother is a little bit too big, guys. So, yeah, I'm not going to be talking about politics. This isn't a Rush Limbaugh. This isn't a whatever that other guy is, InfoWars guy, screams, cries, and it's fat. I'm going to be talking about a lot of stuff. I'm going to have a lot of cool people on the show, mixed martial artists, local people, pharmaceutical companies. We're going to be doing some phone gimmicks and awesome stuff. But that's what I want to talk about today because that's kind of like a predecessor when we go into hopefully getting my father and maybe James Bamford on the line here, guys. So have an awesome day, guys. I'm wrapping this up. And yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you next Monday. See you next Tuesday. And you'll see a lot of more smaller videos pop up here and there. Because I'm going to be working all week on videos. And then remember, Friday, tune in to Wife Attack. My wife's going to be on the show, guys. It's going to be awesome. Peace out. A-Town down.